What you are witnessing is real. The participants are cartoons. They are actual litigants with a case pending in a Toonland municipal court. Both parties have agreed to dismiss their court cases and have their disputes settled here in our forum, the Toonie Court. The plaintiffs, the Smurfs. Current residents of Smurf Village are suing the defendants for property theft, identity theft, and copyright infringement. The defendants, the RoBear Berbils, currently residents of Third Earth, home of the Thudercats. These robotic bears are countersuing claims of harassment. The judge, Judge Moon, and you're in the Toonie Court.
What's the case?
Smurfs versus Berbils. Case, theft, and harassment.
Mr. Smurf, your case?
Papa Smurf always says the Smurfs are here first and the RoBear Berbils are stealing our likeness rights, Your Honor.
We are RoBear Berbils. We are bears. We are not blue. We look nothing like the Smurfs. What part of you is a robot, a bear, or a gerbil?
Mr. Smurf, you're going to have to present me with some evidence.
Your Honor, look at this picture. This picture is of our Smurf village. We live in mushroom houses.
Bailiff, let me see evidence A. Exhibit A. Okay.
Now, Your Honor, please look at this other picture of our houses. Oh, wait. That's the Burble houses. They stole their home designs identical to our own. Both of them are mushrooms, both of them are houses, both of them are villages.
Our homes are grown naturally on Third Earth.
I would also like to enter into evidence that we are older than the RoBear Berbils. We have comics, we have cartoons, we have toys. What do they have?
We are excellent builders.
As are we, Your Honor. We are excellent builders. Have you seen the wonder that is our dam, or the glory of King Smurf's palace? We smurfed it, and we concealed it from everyone.
Mr. Smurf, do you have any evidence to support your claim of identity theft?
We have only one female and a clear leader, Papa Smurf.
That was a common trope on 80s cartoon television.
I would also like to submit this Smurf affidavit for my friends in Star Wars. It's already been brought in from Mr. D2 and Wicket the Ewok to support claims of identity theft.
I can't read this. It's written in Ewok and binary. Bailiff, can you translate?
Your Honor, the papers claim that Berbils stole their looks from Ewoks and droids in Star Wars.
Mr. Burble, do you have anything to say about this charge?
We cannot help it if we are just as cute as those Ewok droids. We have never heard of this Star Wars.
That's ridiculous, Your Honor! Everyone is Smurfed of Star Wars!
Now, Mr. Smurf, your final claim is for copyright infringement. Can you please explain this charge?
Certainly, Your Honor. Our primary source of food is Smurf berries. It has 9 essential vitamins and minerals and is a part of a complete breakfast.
How is this copyright infringement?
Your Honor, ask the Berbils about their food.
We eat fruit, Your Honor. Meat fruit, bread fruit, candy fruit, and veggie
Hey,
fruit.
candy fruit is not a real fruit.
At
It's
least
just
we
made up
have
and now
4
you're just
food
making
groups.
stuff up.
Order in the court!
Papa Smurf always says the greedy eat Smurf berries with everything.
Now, Berbils, do you have anything to support your claim of harassment?
Other than this case, the Smurfs are bullying us.
That's because you're not even real characters on your show. You're second-rate hacks.
Weren't you yourself, Brainy Smurf, initially a secondary character in Johann and Pee-wee?
But Your Honor, Papa Smurf always says that...
You cannot pull the wool over this judge's eyes, Brainy. Papa Smurf may be here, but he does not set judicial precedent. The court does. And Conan versus He-Man, there was a very clear line drawn for homage in newer comic and cartoon material. And I think that's what I'm going to draw from here. This whole case has me thinking I'm on mushrooms. I'm dismissing both cases.
Welcome to this month's edition of
Nerdbeards! We're in a new studio this time.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that. What gives?
New year, new studio, new hair.
Yeah, you like that? Anyway, I worked really hard on that. Anyway, what's on our plate today, Captain?
Well, in today's episode, we're going to be talking about something blue.
Da-ba-dee-da-ba-da.
No, something that's like 3 apples high.
Ooh, we're going to have apple teenies.
No.
Oh.
Lives in a mushroom?
RoBear Berbils. But we covered those last time when we did the Thudercats episode.
Well, okay, there's only one girl. Wait, that's still RoBear Berbils too.
Yeah, your clues aren't helping, man.
Well, it's from the 1980s.
Dun 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 dun. A-Team. Dun dun dun.
No, I'm talking about the Smurfs.
Oh. Well, you know, Papa Smurf does kind of look like B.A. Baracus. You do have to give me credit on that.
No, Mr. T plays a night elf mohawk. He hacked himself one, remember?
Okay. Well, anyway, in the 1980s, the Smurfs were everywhere. There was cartoons, there was toys, and there were movies. And
Well, you know, Moon, since you know everything, what's the origin of the Smurfs?
The Smurfs, or Les Schtroumpfs as they're called in French, were introduced in Belgium in October of 1958 by the cartoonist known as Peyo. They were supporting characters in his ongoing series called Johan at Pee-wee, as a tribe of tiny blue little elves that lived in the forest. And these tiny blue little elves were not the primary characters. They were just these little guys that made little mischief that ran into Johan and Pee-wee. Much like Popeye, and Steve Urkel, they were not the stars. They blossomed and bloomed and became popular all on their own.
Schtroumpf, Smush. What does that mean?
Well, for that matter, what does Smurfs mean?
The name Schtroumpfs means, it's a nonsense word, like it means doohickey or thingamajig in Flemish. Smurf is an English-like translation. Basically, it means Smurf.
So that explains why they call them the Smurfs. But why are they blue?
Because they have a blue house with a blue window. Blue is the Corvette which is sitting outside.
Well, yeah, probably. Wait! You jackass, are you just going to make fun of that song, those lyrics, for this entire review?
Well, I had you going for a minute. Okay, fine. If you don't like that answer, then it's because Smurfette's holding out on her charms.
Huh?
Maybe Vanity Smurf and Hefty Smurf aren't the only ones with alternative lifestyles.
Say what?
Maybe the mushrooms they live in are blues and they're hallucinogenic and they're all kind of leaking together.
Whoa.
Okay, fine. It could just be to make them easier to see with a forest backdrop.
Yes. Oh God, yes. That has to be it. Whatever saves me from all of this. Alright, so for this Nerd Beards, we've watched 2 episodes of the Smurfs. These episodes were Bewitched, Bothered and Besmurfed, and King Smurf.
King Smurf. Okay. So we've gone Smurfing crazy this week. We've gone crazy. We're breaking tradition here, and we're watching episodes that aren't the exact first episodes, but they are from the first season here.
Well, quite frankly, the Smurfs didn't really follow any plot line or a story, and they didn't have much in the way of character development. So, to our viewers, you aren't really missing out on much.
Well, actually, this makes it easier on kids who have, like, after-school activities and such, because there is no major long plot.
Well, these episodes aired in 1981. But Moon, you told us the Smurfs premiered in the 1950s. What gives?
Okay, you're right, guys. The Smurfs have been around for a really long time. They premiered in 1958, but by the 60s they were starting to be marketed all throughout Europe through, like, recordings and albums and songs and comics and everything. Actually, even when we lived in Europe, they were still making little record albums of the Smurfs in, like, Germany. It was kind of amazed me that they were still that popular then, because it did. But by the late 70s, the Smurfs were starting to be more than just a little French-Belgium thing. They were exploding, and they were starting to get republished in English. Seriously, adorable, popular, eye-catching, cute, magical, awesome. Once they hit America, it was almost a given that they would be a Saturday morning sensation. NBC debuted the Hanna-Barbera version on September 12, 1981, with episodes called The Astro Smurf, Jokey's Medicine, and Vanity Fair. Not the magazine Vanity Fair, but Vanity Fair. The show is not the first animated attempt for the Smurfs, because that was a 1976 film made in Belgium called Smurfs and the Magic Flute, which mostly had Johan and Pee-wee in it. All told, there were more than 200 episodes of the cartoon produced that helped pull Hanna-Barbera and NBC out of the ratings cellar and became the popular, memorable cartoon that still sticks in my Smurfy little brain today.
So Smurfs are European comic book characters first and not toys. All right.
These stories we see here are quite interesting. In the first one, Bewitched, Bothered, and Besmurfed, we see the magic of non-Smurf beings, a witch named Hagatha and a wizard named Gargamel.
Hagatha's a hideous witch. She's short, she's nasty, and she has a dark creature as a pet, much like Moon.
Watch it.
Dude, you're in trouble.
Fine, she jabs at me all the time.
Hey, you called your wife a witch.
But...
You know there's no winning on this one.
Fine.
The episode starts with Hagatha getting ready for a night out on the town, flying over from her spooky castle on the back of her vulture.
Hagatha plays to all the stereotypes that we expect of a witch. She even calls her storm around her an icky storm, and says, no self-respecting witch could stay out on a night like this. Right before her bird gets struck by lightning in the ass, causing her to plummet to the ground, losing her magic amulet and her magic powers.
Well, meanwhile, back in the Smurf village, Greedy Smurf is sick from over-smurfing while cooking.
All the Smurfs try to help, and of course, they invent a device to prop up Greedy's bed, sending the cook to the floor. Brainy Smurfs off with, I always say an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
And he gets bounced out of town. Papa Smurf gives him medicine, and Clumsy Smurf tries to fluff his pillows. Nothing seems to help, so sweet little Smurfette goes out to the woods to gather some flowers to make him feel better.
And Smurfette finds the locket. Before claiming finders keepers, losers weepers, she shouts out, Yoo-hoo! Yoo-hoo! Anyone lose a locket? And then proceeds to put it on. Because that's exactly what you do when you find a strange amulet in the middle of a forest. You put it on.
This is the one thing about the series as a whole that bothers me. Perspective. When Hagatha wears the locket, it is Hagatha size, maybe even bigger. Then, when Smurfette picks up the same amulet, it is Smurf size. A little big on Smurfette, but not as large as her it was on Hagatha. It's like the animators or artist didn't have any grasp of perspective.
Well, it is possible that the Smurfs were undefined. I mean, really, we know that they're 3 apples high. Like, here's 3 apples. Hold these. So I dropped one. But those 3 apples are red delicious. Now, it's possible that it could be, I don't know, let's see. We'll go with, here's a golden delicious. Oh, and over here, we've got a delicious, that's a Pacific rose. And then, of course, you want to make sure that you've got a delicious ambrosia. Here, hold that. And then, of course, we've got a Rainier, which fits right there. And then, of course, we've got, this delicious Fuji, which is just gorgeous. And then, of course, how about a Lady Alice? Those are so pretty, aren't they? And then, of course, and now a Brayburn. Why are you looking at me like that? And now then there's, of course, a Granny Smith. See? And then, of course, just to make sure that we're covering our bases, there's a Kiku. Okay? And, of course, we cannot forget at all the Galas, because Galas are so pretty. Okay, I'm out of apples. Why are you looking at me like that? This is your implication that I'm rambling?
Totally rambling.
Sorry, but I see your point. That the amulet I doubt many kids noticed that the amulet was changing size with perspective and such. I was just saying that. It's very possible that it could just simply be...
Don't say it.
But you know I want to.
Don't you dare.
Magic.
You know that's my line. Go get your own.
It is your line. Whatever it is. I'm just saying the amulet can change sizes to suit its current wear.
Anyway, when Hagatha notices her amulet is missing, she goes out to seek someone to help her. First, she finds signs of life. Maybe a kind, brave, noble, handsome, genius wizard who will surely help her.
She goes after Gargamel, who is none of those things. He's just like me.
Gargamel is trying to cast a spell of some type that requires patience and silence. So much that even he boots his beloved Azrael out of the castle. Hagatha interrupts, demanding he help her find the amulet.
You see, I can sympathize with Gargamel, who proclaims, how can I be brilliant when I'm surrounded by dum-dums?
Are you calling me dum-dum?
No!
Really?
Well, I'm just saying it's really hard to hatch evil plans when you keep getting interrupted by somebody who keeps barging in and...
She uses her own magic to stop Gargamel, knowing it's limited without her locket. So he agrees.
Yeah, until they find where she crash landed and she sees little Smurfy footprints all over the ground.
Gargamel wishes to capture them. Does he want to eat them, turn them to lead, destroy them?
I always kind of thought he wanted to drain them of essence like a Skeksis.
Did you? Are you referencing the Dark Crystal?
Would you prefer I be more specific?
Fire away!
Alright. Well, the Smurfs are like the pod people. They're smart, they're cute, they wear hats, they live in the forest, they have long and then, of course, you've got Gargamel, who has a long proboscis, ratty robes, a tower, lots of magic, and he's getting old. Okay, fine. Resolve it like a gelfling.
I'll give you that. But proboscis? Proboscis? Proboscimus?
It's proboscis.
Blackheart, Anaxandros is just trying to use big words to confuse you to show off that he has a big brain up in there. He's just trying to say a word that means nose. But talking about Gargamel's big nose and all that nonsense, there are some people that say that using Gargamel with a stooped back, a hooked nose, and torn ratty clothes and a strange relationship with his mom that we don't get into in the episodes we watched makes him the poster boy of anti-Semitic propaganda. However, that is nowhere in the Smurfs canon that labels Gargamel as a Jew.
Moon, you're turning brainy again. Don't make us boot you out of the village. Anyway, the two mages go looking for the amulet and head back to the village. Meanwhile, back in the actual village, Smurfette has returned home.
She's making wishes left and right, with them coming true. She wishes she could fill Greedy's room with flowers, that he would be out of bed and fit as a fiddle.
Now you have to see where this is going. It's a wish. You always have to be careful how you word wishes, because the storyteller, the dungeon master, the wish master, whoever, will take you literally. Wishes give the power to the storyteller to create useful interpretation and mess with you. Want to be fit as a fiddle? Greedy turns into a fiddle.
Well, she wishes Yoki to grow up and be serious. So he grows taller, then starts contemplating philosophy.
Who will join me in my quest for truth? My search for relevance?
Smurfette wishes that Grouchy wouldn't be so mean and hateful, so he becomes the Smurf equivalent of Fozzie Bear.
Fozzie Bear?
The other Smurfs notice that there is a problem.
You ever notice how many Smurfs are actually given names to show off their strongest bag trait? Greedy is extremely greedy, Jokey can't be serious, Grouchy is hateful, Brainy is a pain in the ass, and Lazy sleeps all the time. And Clumsy can't help but trip over everything in sight.
Well, what about Handy? His name shows that he's helpful and a patient personality.
No, it just means he's good with his hands. Okay, fine. Well, where are Inky, Pinky, Blinky, and Clyde?
Well, according to the 1984 TV Guide listing, 2 stations over and at least an hour away on Saturday mornings.
Dude, did you just use the TV Guide card? Nice. But then again, there's Vanity. The fabulous Smurf. I think he's supposed to be an architect or a hairdresser or something. Anyway, back to our episode.
So Papa Smurf investigates and decides that there is something evil going on in the Smurf village. A powerful evil that his Smurfy skills can't seem to overcome. Smurfette, realizing it has to be her locket, decides to get rid of it.
So she takes it and throws it right off a cliff, right after Hagatha fires gargle smell from helping her. And you'll never guess who finds it.
Gargamel.
And right after throwing it away, Smurfette runs into a pitiful frog. And this frog claims she's a princess who needs to be kissed by a handsome prince to break a curse.
I think it was a handsome Smurf.
Could be a handsome Smurf.
Because you know, this kind of stuff happens all the time in Smurf Village. The frog, who's Hagatha in disguise, is almost kissed by the new fun-loving Grouchy. When Gargamel wishes he had all the Smurfs on a silver platter. And magic! See,
you got your line. He gets them just moments before Hagatha gets her kiss from a handsome Smurf. She realizes that Gargamel must have the locket and fears she will remain a frog forever.
Well, she hops to Gargamel's house to beg for his help. But he has the locket and the Smurfs, so he brushes her off. Meanwhile, the Smurf uses some Smurfy trickery to scare Azrael. Hefty uses a lasso to steal the key, and the Smurfs escape.
Well, sort of. Hogatha actually turns back into a person and tries to kidnap Smurfette as her prisoner. Smurfette steals the locket and tosses it to Papa Smurf, who throws it in the fire. It's destroyed, Hogatha's disappeared, and all the magic Smurfs return to their Smurfy cells.
And they ride back to the Smurf village on a group of frogs.
On a group of frogs?
Like many of the other Season 1 episodes of The Smurfs, this particular episode was based off of one of the original Smurfs comics. This one was based off the comic called Hogatha's Talisman. Hogatha would appear in many more cartoons throughout the years of the Smurfs series.
Alright, I think this is a good place to go on to our next episode, King Smurf. But first, a commercial.
Klaatu, Verada, Niktu, Hoster, 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 Panemonomina. Hi, do you have aches and pains? Does your pain keep you up at night? Do you want us to help you get better, or do you simply need your dice blessed? Well, I want you to put the part that hurts up to the computer screen of the smart TV, and I'm going to heal it with some nerd love. Do your feet hurt from leaping off buildings to kill Templars? Just slap those bunions up to the screen, and I will take care of you. Did some jock kick your new butt? Just drop trowel. Let the part that aches slide up to the screen. Let the keyboard cradle your glutes. Do your thumbs hurt from hitting controllers and giving thumbs up on Facebook? Just press them to the screen like Kratos killing Poseidon. We here at Land of Nerds love our fellow nerds, and we don't mind if you DPS like a chimp with a banana addiction. You can camp with us knowing that we will take the healer slot in your run, and we will gladly keep you going when you tank. If your wings hurt or your head hurts from being a gorgeous sparkle pony, don't you worry, you just slap it on the screen and feel the nerd love flow to you. And as covered previously, we do cover your cutie mark. Our service is free and we only ask one thing, and one thing only. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe to our Land of Nerds channel at YouTube. Kratos loves me, this I know, for the sisters told me so.
Really? That was the commercial we authorized?
I thought it'd be informative. I am a minister.
You're a minister?
Yeah, I'm a minister. I tried air marshaling and I didn't really get a kick out of that, so I decided to become a healer. I'm Healer Anaxandros. Anyway, on to the episode. What was this one called again?
Well, the second episode we're talking about today is King Smurf. It is a very political episode.
Political?
Yes. When we were watching the episode, the only thing I could think of was all the politics that were flying all over the kids' heads. This episode starts with all of the Smurfs working on the dam, and Greedy Smurf announcing, "Lunchtime!" Papa Smurf uses this time to announce that he is going away to gather some rare wrinkle fruit, which only grows on the far side of the mountain, but I shall return in a few Smurfs. He says this before reminding them to keep smurfing on the dam.
Sorry, you said damn. I'm good.
You are such a child.
Whatever, you laughed too. Anyway, in this episode, all the little Smurfs react to Papa Smurf leaving differently. Smurfette starts crying that she'll miss Papa Smurf, and
Brainy Smurf decides he's in charge while Papa Smurf is away.
As a fellow know-it-all, I always feel so bad for Brainy Smurf. He's a smart Smurf, surrounded by other Smurfs, who are clearly his intellectual inferiors. They pick on him, they beat him up, they smurf him out of town. He can't help it if he's smart. I mean, he just is. He's the resident nerd of Smurf Village. He's just not quite self-confident, so he always has to lean on Papa Smurf's authority, telling people Papa Smurf always says.
Told you she's a Smurf at all.
Well, in this case, Papa Smurf leaves the village, and Brainy decides to take charge. None of the Smurfs agree to this change in regime.
Regime. Interesting. Good word, though. But anyway, of course not. Brainy is very, very unpopular already, so his first move is to cancel lunch, which has just started. Brainy takes away Hefty's hot dog. Who the Smurf is Brainy to take away a hungry Smurf's hot dog?
I say get to work, and while Papa Smurf is away, he would want me to be the boss, the head honcho, and numero Smurfo.
He assumes he's the natural leader, so naturally all the Smurfs laugh at Brainy for this dork declaration.
Well, much like Revenge of the Nerds, Brainy fights back. The first thing he does is appoint Harmony Smurf, the musician, first chief, head spokesman, and newscaster.
He's a herald, like Chaucer in Knight's Tale. His job is to go around and tell people that Brainy is the king of the Smurfs.
He declares himself King Smurf, and the first law is, all Smurfs shall respect and obey King Smurf, or else.
The Smurfs have never really had a society of rules, and now they have this one that's do it or else.
Hefty goes to do something about it, and is named Royal General Colonel Captain of the Guard.
Dude, that's every military title. Anyway, Brainy is Loki smooth here. He talks himself out of a real ass whooping. Talks up the strength of his naysayers, and then proceeds to give them jobs.
Hefty immediately appoints a handful of Smurfs to be his guards.
And this is where we really see why Smurfs keep tossing Brainy out on his Smurf when he gets Smurfity. And I'm looking at you, Moon.
Meanwhile, at the abandoned dam, we can already see signs of neglect. The dam is leaky. Tyrant Brain is causing the infrastructure to fail. All because he wants a pretty pink palace to live in.
Okay. Alright, well, it's really more like a palace made for the Mushroom Kingdom. Because Brainy, the ungrateful jackass he is, says,
Hello, Smurfs. Your labors have produced a palace of great beauty, and I would say thanks if I didn't deserve every bit of it.
Really, what a tool. I mean, none of the Smurfs are having this.
Well, Jokey, who's being his Smurfy self, gives Hefty a surprise.
A surprise?
Yes, a surprise. You know what's in it?
Let me guess.
Only the funniest thing ever.
A bomb?
A bomb. That's right. Bombs are funny, kids. In the 1980s, Jokey Smurf gave a bomb to the Royal General Colonel Captain of the Guard.
Royal General Colonel Captain. That's like every military officer rank ever. Yeah, but still, the idea of giving a bomb to the military would not go over well today.
Well, it didn't go well over then, either. He gets arrested and brought before King Smurf.
But you know it's just Jokey. He's just being himself. All the Smurfs just think it's hilarious. You know, it's classic Jokey.
Of course they did. Even King Smurf says.
That's one of Jokey's oldest jokes. Where's your sense of humor, Hefty?
Missing the case as a thanks, Jokey gives the king a surprise too. And then...
Off with his head. No, Smurf with his head. Or rather, throw him in jail. Or something like that. That's right. Jokey smurfed a bomb into a government building. And then King Smurf has Jokey thrown into prison.
Here's the problem, and I think it's the point of the episode. The Smurfs had no form of government until Brainy decided to form one. No form of crime, jail, or punishment. They just didn't need one. Is this episode criticizing government?
With the terrorist Jokey in jail, the Smurfettes protest. They are sent home by the guards first, and then they break out Jokey. Smurfette and a handful of rebels flee the village.
Flee the village.
The King Smurf builds a wall to keep the rebels out and those still in the village in.
Now the rebels realize there has to be a war, so who leads the rebellion? For once, instead of sitting down and crying about missing Papa Smurf or being a useless token girl Smurf, we finally get Smurfette leading a Smurf rebellion.
Okay, pause guys, wait. I think it's necessary to point out first how cool it is that Alexandra said that you're totally forgiven for calling me a witch earlier. I mean, Smurfette usually is just the token girl Smurf. If you remember, like I said, our other Smurf video, Smurf colored glasses, she's just the little hottie all the boy Smurfs are trying to get to. Or with. But here, she is Smurfette warrior princess. But also, the dam is still breaking.
Now we're going to see how Smurfs do battle. The guards have their pole arms as their first line of defense and throw Smurf berries over their primary things of food.
God, I miss that cereal.
Over the wall, over the sieging army. This would never work as a real siege because the defending town would starve.
Well, of course, the attackers would be like, bring it on! Nom, 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 nom. Yeah, more Smurf berries! Nom, 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 nom,
No
nom,
fair!
nom.
The rebels have ladders! Let's use glue, which sends the ladders down, but opens a hole in the wall and leaves a bridge across the moat.
And then the rebels get into town, chaos ensues, there's smoke, and sounds of battle.
Well, it all stops when Papa Smurf returns.
You should all be ashamed. You've been behaving like human beings.
Of course, evil human beings. That's my thoughts.
Oh, okay, sorry, I thought you had more thoughts.
No.
The Smurfs run to the dam and fix it before it bursts, so Papa releases the floodgates, and the water destroys the palace.
Brainy quits the job of king and tosses his robes right onto the ground.
So Vanity asks, Papa, what should we do with his robes? Now see, I almost think he wants to keep them in his wardrobe, but Papa actually comes up with a better idea. They turn his robes into a scarecrow.
This episode was also based on an original Smurf comic, though in the comic, Brainy was not the king. Brainy was a political opponent to King Smurf. And Brainy was also a rebel. King Smurf was eventually called Pretentious Smurf. I guess to save on the budget of Smurfs, I mean there's 100 Smurfs. They just made it Brainy instead.
Well, this wraps up this edition of Nerdbeards.
So don't forget to look us up on the web.
Follow us on Facebook.com/Land of the Nerds.
And be sure to follow us on Twitter.com, Land of the Nerds.
Oh, don't forget to subscribe to us on Land of Nerds on YouTube.
And then, of course, there's our Instagram at Instagram.com/Land of Nerds.
And as always, landofnerds.com.
I'm Healer Anaxandros.
And I'm Captain Blackheart. And thanks for tuning in for this edition of Nerdbeards.